It's one of those political climates, once again, where we take shots at the DPRK with accusations that don't really have anything to back them up. Well, this time it's an accusation of sexual abuse by officials inside the country, which are declared to be endemic by the US-based human rights group Human Rights Watch, the organization who in the past has made a great deal of completely baseless accusations, and whose accusations against countries can be timed accordingly, perfectly along that with US foreign policy. Now, this time they said they interviewed more than 60 North Koreans who had left the country who described unwanted sexual contact and violence so common that it has come to be accepted as a part of normal life. Of course, they don't show any evidence of that whatsoever. They just claim that's what it is. Now, Human Rights Watch very interestingly acknowledged that its survey was too limited to provide a generalized sample. Although they literally just promoted that as a generalized sample, and thus the mainstream media also reported it as a generalized sample. So it's interesting, they say, well, we don't actually know this to be true, but, we're going to promote it anyway, kind of thing. They even said, it is so widespread that many women interviewed did not always understand that coercive sex should not be an almost everyday occurrence, said one investigator who spoke out on the condition of anonymity. In other words, no one said that. Because if this was so common, then wouldn't the investigator who worked for Human Rights Watch just say that as a part of their report? What would be the point of making that a position where you would need anonymity? That doesn't even make any sense. Of course, we know that the real reason that suddenly this, renewed round of demonization against the DPRK has appeared is because the relations between the North and the South have been warming a great deal. There's great strides towards peace that have been being made between the two countries that have excluded the hostile actions of the United States. So it should not be surprising at all that this accusation mysteriously comes out while this good news is coming out, that the United States is being left behind in the peace process because they've been nothing but a hindrance to it. And it's interesting to note that this has been promoted in many mainstream media outlets with the hashtag #MeToo. So here's a perfect example. Essentially, they're trying to link North Korea to the Me Too movement. See, if we hate all these men who've abused women in the United States, hashtag Me Too, then you're going to hate North Korea too. Like, this is such blatant bandwagon jumping, it's incredible. So many of the people who have abused positions to coerce sex for a long time are now trying to attack the DPRK for the same thing. Except that they're using this movement towards their own end, not actually caring about sexual abuse, and then making this complete phony narrative that there's widespread sexual abuse inside the DPRK. I mean, this is so transparent. It's frankly ridiculous. Now, is there sexual abuse in the DPRK? Of course there is. There is sexual abuse in every country in the world. There is nowhere in the world that is free from that kind of misogyny, and nobody would think that the DPRK would be free from it. Yet, somehow, from these interviews of 60 women, it's, of course, completely an epidemic, although it's too small a sample, too small to provide a generalized sample, but reported as that anyway. You could walk out onto the street of any country and ask 1,000 women if they've been sexually abused at one point or another, had unwanted touching, etc., and you'll probably get a really high number. In fact, you'll probably get even higher numbers. So this piece, claiming that the DPRK is some kind of pervert's haven, is very blatantly trying to use the Me Too movement to criticize legitimate wrongdoings by many men, to attack the DPRK, because U.S. foreign policy against the DPRK is failing, because the North and the South are very happy to just build peace on their own.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.